Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Hello,
Good morning.
hello.
Morning.
Morning.
How goes it?
oh,
Love.
Sorry, I'm doing all the tech stuff. So let me get oriented here. Let's see. Oliver, I'm going to add you as a co-host if you don't mind helping monitor people coming and going.
please do.
Thank you for doing so.
Hmm.
Hey, Denise, I like your background. That's cool.
Oh, thank you.
Got lots of people rolling in here.
And I'm mashing the admit all button as quickly as possible.
It's a
A
lot of people.
lot of people.
Yeah.
You're a popular guy, Paul, or your program, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How's everybody doing today? Everybody got your coffee ready to go?
Ah, yeah.
Cheers. All right. Let's see.
I'm being healthy and it's kombucha.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Yeah, I see lots of people rolling in here. We've got like there's a lot of AIs trying to pop in too.
So yeah, if you need to remove them, I
Nah,
understand completely.
that's fine. I'm not doing anything secret here.
Gotcha.
Looks like other Paul's trying to join and hasn't been able to yet. There he is.
I think it just took a while for it to catch up because when I mashed admit all, it just kind
Yeah, it
of.
was kind of processing. Yep. Yep. Too popular. Well, what is anybody working on that they need help with this week?
Well, I'm looking at a T12. I don't know that I need help, but I think it's a little weird. I think they are
Uh-huh.
trying to sneak in something. Like looking at the rents and different things, and they have all the operating expenses listed out,
Hmm.
but then they have other income. And other under income, they have things like general and administrative expenses, salaries,
Yeah.
property management, repair. Is that income? That's not income.
That's not income. That's but
Expense.
that would be a part of the expenses though.
Exactly, but that's how they have it listed, and they're saying that their expenses are 24%. But as I'm looking at this and I'm adding all that up, then it doesn't match. So I'm just wondering if that's their sneaky way of trying to get it
It
by
may just be
people
a
for tax.
mistake. Yeah, they may just be accidentally categorizing one what is really an expense as other income, and that's just one of those things you got to ask questions about.
Yeah.
Just and I would say one in 20 or 30 P&Ls that I see is actually done correctly or is
Mm,
even complete. Like there's most people don't keep a clean P&L or balance sheet,
okay.
especially mom and pop type outfits. I've actually was surprised, pleasantly surprised. I came across a RV park that I'm working on, and the guy is so organized. I mean, he just dropped me a Dropbox link, and it had all my due diligence that I would ask for,
Hmm.
with one exception. He didn't have bank statements. Everything else was there. Like, and I was trying to look
Wow.
through it and trying to find gaps, and there's not like what he's saying is seems accurate. So, and he's a
Nice.
broker as well, so I think he's kind of knows what good looks like, and he has done a good job with it. But that's the exception. That's very much the exception.
Okay. Well, I'll reach out to the broker. I hadn't talked to him yet. I just happened to be looking at this and I was like, this is not income, especially marketing. That's not income. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, they just probably labeled it wrong. The numbers may add up correctly um, to what they're saying, but they're just categorized it as income and shouldn't. It should be expense.
Okay.
And if they're saying their expense ratio is 24% and the property is full, you just can't do that. It's you cannot run a multifamily property with that kind of expense ratio. Uh,
Yeah, I didn't believe that either.
Taxes, insurance, property management, reserves. I mean, just you can't do it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Probably like your fixed expenses that you just can't avoid is probably something like 25%. But the other 20% is the reserves and the, repairs and maintenance and property management that sometimes people, if they defer maintenance, they just don't fix things for a while. They're like, hey, this property looks great, or they don't do any kind of like sinking fund or repair reserves, so that they're not allocating 3 to 5% of the income then to this like future expenses. Then yeah, your taxes and your insurance and your like absolute required um, expenses might be 20 to 25%.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Good question. Very common problem. Very common. Any of you looked at talk to any brokers or sellers and they give you information, it's like half the business is just learning how to cut through what they're giving you. Yeah. And so, for example, we had one of our clients in the group recently get a property under contract, and they didn't do any due diligence. They just took whatever was given to them, and they just whatever they asked for it, they just signed it up. And like that's not actually doing the business. Like you haven't done anything by doing that, right? You haven't dug into the numbers. He hadn't even actually run the numbers. And so it's like, go use the tools that we made available to you, put the numbers even the ones they give you into their spreadsheet, and the numbers don't work. Like it just miserably failed the bank test.
Yeah, I got T12 one time that was a PDF, and
Yep.
it was 2 years, and it looked like, microscopic small
Yeah.
text. And I had to do some finagling to get it printed out.
Yeah.
And then they even mislabeled what the net income was, which was actually expenses. It was just a mess.
Yeah. Which is unfortunately the way it's just the reality. And that's even for listed properties. If you go off market and you find people who are off market and they're open to selling, they haven't spent time organizing anything in most cases. And so what they give you is even worse. Like they won't even have a P&L. They'll just have I think Jeff was saying he got a screenshot of a chalkboard that they had in their office. Like that was their
Screenshot of a chalkboard. I would have fell out. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was looking at an RV park in Arkansas a couple of years ago, and I went and visited it. Like it was in where my wife lives, her family's there. And so it's just down the street. It's like over Thanksgiving, and I went by to look at it. It was listed for sale. And we were in his office, and he went rummaged around. I was like, "Do you have how much people have rented for? Like, what's your like? You're saying you want to sell it for this, but what's that based on? Oh, it's what I think it's worth. Yeah, but it's based on income. Like, show me the income." And so he rummaged around and he pulled out a yellow sheet of paper, and it was like crumpled up, and he kind of folded it out and said, "Here you go." And I was like, "So this is what I'm buying? Is you promising that this is accurate?" It's like, that's not how this is going to work. If I'm going to buy this, you're going to show me everything, bank statements, everything. And he's like, I'm not doing that. It's like, well, then you're not selling it to me or anybody else, because nobody's going to just trust you. He wanted to sell this thing for 700 grand. Like, no. And by the way, he still hasn't sold it.
Right. Okay.
He obviously wasn't motivated. I mean, like he doesn't really want to sell it, or he would have tried harder. Anybody else working on anything else that I can help you with? Go ahead, Warren.
Oh, I didn't know I was unmuted. Hey everyone, I'm new here. I found a property in San Diego. After talking to the brokers, they sent me over all the information. When I put the numbers through the property evaluator, the evaluator came back that this property was like on the low end, $92 million. It's like it was built in 1900. So basically, it's a 34 unit property. They actually have a house on it. It's a historic inn, but they're using it as a multifamily, and the people are on month to month. It has It's designated SRO, so they can do nightly. If somebody wanted to come in and just spend the night, they can do that as well. But it
Mhm.
has a lot of upside. Talking to the brokers, they didn't really know how much. The owner put like $1.5 million in
Mhm.
renovations and everything. He
Yeah.
didn't know what he wanted to sell it for, so that's why he sent it to auction. I eventually called the broker back and asked him what number would the owner accept where he would take it from auction and just walk away from it. He told
Yep.
me $8 million.
Eight,
So
8 or 80?
eight.
8 million. Okay.
So when I did the numbers, like I said, on the low end, the evaluator said 92 million. So out of the 8 million that I offered, I did 92%, and that number I gave them. He took it, and eventually he invited me to come to see the property, which would be tomorrow.
Okay.
I pushed back and told him I'll come on the 27th.
Sure.
Yesterday I got a text message. They wanted to talk to me. And this time it was the other broker that was actually, and he was more seasoned than the guy that I was talking to. He'd been in the business for 42
Sure.
years.
Okay.
And after speaking with him, he said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. He wanted to take 5 million cash. That's what he was saying. And then he wanted to do seller financing.
Okay.
Within the first year, he was saying 4.5% of interest only. I just started reading this book on the 28th of June.
Yeah.
And this is all new to me to talk to them about this. I wrote everything down.
Okay.
And
Well,
one of
let's
the things,
hold up. Let's go back to the facts. Like, how many units is it? How much are they being rented for? That's where we need to start.
I have the rent rolls.
So
There
so
are
based on the rent roll, what's the total collected income per month?
about $57,000 a month. That's, yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and I'm gonna walk you through how we can do this to see if we're even in the same ballpark with somebody. Okay.
Okay.
Let me share my screen. Share. Desktop 2. Share. Okay. See my screen, right?
Huh.
Okay. So we're going to start with the bank test.
Okay.
And so you said it was 34 units?
34 units.
34 units. And the total collected revenue was how much? Oh, you're muted, so I can't hear you if you're talking.
57, he says.
57,000?
Yeah.
So what is 57? Is that per month? I would hope. Yeah.
It's 57,759.70.
759. 759 per month, right?
Yes.
Divided by 34. So it's about, I'm gonna call it 1,700. So these things rent on average about $1,700 per month. Does it show on there what the vacancy is?
Vacancy, he had everything. That's performer. You said not to pay attention to the performer. I
And,
don't
and
think
he,
that.
and he
Yeah.
wanted what, 9 million, you said?
Well, he said 8 million.
Just start with 9.
Okay.
Okay. So this property at a 5% expense ratio, 45%, I'm sorry, 5% vacancy, 45% expense ratio, which is typically what we do. And so we want to find out if the numbers that he gives us includes the vacancy rate or not. And that's the important part.
Okay.
Because if the vacancy rate is 10, then we would want to put 10 here so that we would adjust our numbers. So for the sake of argument, let's just say it's 5. And for 9 million, you would lose money by going to the bank and getting a 7% 30-year loan.
That's what he explained to me. That's why
Yeah.
he did seller financing.
Which makes a lot of sense. Okay. So let's figure out, for everybody's sake here, when someone does this, it's like, there's this whole story. I just want the facts. Units, how much it rents for, period. And then I want vacancy if I can get to it. And then I'm going to assume the expense ratio of 45% for multifamily. So how much would I pay for this property knowing these facts? Well, this number is going to be like way low. Like I wouldn't even pay $5 million for this property if I were to go get a bank loan.
Okay.
Now, because when I put in $5 million here, my cash on cash return is 5.53%,
Okay.
right? That just doesn't, that's not interesting to me. Like, and you're not going to be able to wholesale this or find investors to come in with you because you have no so little to play with. Like, you're really just breaking even at 5%. I mean, more than likely there's going to be some expense that comes up that you're not aware of, and you're going to lose this much money. If anything goes wrong, there's no cash here.
Okay.
So let's take this same information and let's go apply it over here. This is the owner financing tab. And I'm going to take out the repair cost, the wholesale fee. And so we're going to start off with a 10% down payment. Just our standard approach is 10% down payment. A 2.5% interest rate is our standard, what we start with. And then we look at the NOI, and then we look at the monthly NOI. So for those you don't know, the NOI is the net operating income, okay? And the net operating income is, if you were to buy all cash, how much would you have coming in net of all expenses at the end of the year, or in this case, per month? 30 grand. So that is your profit and how much you can afford for debt service. So that's what's left over. So or your mortgage payment. So how much can we afford of a mortgage payment? Maybe 15,000. Let's see what that does. So, and let's try and get this to his number. He wants 9 million, right?
Okay.
So what's crazy is you could pay him I'm looking at maybe $20,000. Not quite. So it's tight. And the reason I say that is because this is a crazy premium. Even with these compelling owner financing terms, only 10% down, only 2.5%. There's just not enough cash flow for me to pay down this debt fast enough. So at the end of 10 years, I still owe 85% of $9 million. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm overpaying for the property. So what you might do instead is say, okay, well, I'll do owner financing, but maybe I'll do $7.5 million. And it gets better faster. So my cash on cash return is where it should be. And then I'm still not at the 75 to 7% number I want to be, but I'm closer. Okay. I might be able to do like say a 15% return, and maybe drop this down to 1850. See how I'm just playing with the numbers? I'm trying to work these to where I can get my cash on cash return and I can get close to a 75% loan to value. And everything I'm seeing here is they're asking way too much. And I'm not surprised. It's San Diego, right? Like if it's in San Diego, it's not unusual for things to go with the 4 and a 4 or 5 cap. You just can't do it. Like if he wants $5 million, you can probably do $5 million, but that's it. Like that you'd pay him $5 million with 10% down. That's what it would actually work. And so his idea of $9 million is just completely out of whack.
Okay.
Now, do properties in San Diego trade for a 4, 5, 6 cap? Maybe. More so there than other places. But like we can't buy properties at a 4 cap and make it make sense.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like this is a 7 cap. And then when the cap rate hits about 7, we can do our owner financing magic to get our cash on cash return to about 15% or higher with compelling down payments. Like you do a down payment there, you might be able to go a little higher here. Yeah, that gives you some room to wiggle because you make this offer, 10% down, you get 500 grand. I'll make you payments of $20,000 per month for 10 years. And at the end of 10 years, I will pay you $3 million. You know,
Hey, Paul,
go ahead.
considering the age, should we put in a little bit of CapEx?
Yes. I forgot. It's an older property. So there's almost certainly repair costs. So there's at a 34 unit property, I mean, there's probably at least 75 grand of um, of repair costs, plus you want your assignment fee, right? But you notice, like, look at these numbers down here. 75 grand hardly affects the numbers. I mean, even if I put 100 grand here, look at the cash on cash return. It went from 24 to 20, right? It's like it's that in and of itself is not going to make or break the deal if you put in really compelling terms. Just know if you're wholesaling, the buyer has to come up with 500 grand and then whatever repair costs plus whatever wholesale fee you want to charge in order for this to make sense.
So Paul, what I got for, my spreadsheet,
Yep.
I've got 6.034 million.
Six
For the off, yeah.
6.034.
Zero,
Like
zero,
that?
zero. Yeah. Uh-huh. And then let's see, 10% down, 2.5%.
Mhm.
Interest, the mortgage payments is going to be 21,459. What else do you need?
That's it.
Number,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right at 15%.
And then we're talking about 12, almost 13 years, right? Is what we're talking about. And so, yeah, in that range,
Yeah.
close
So
enough
you
to
might,
15.
you might be able to get him a higher offer of $6 million. And so what I would go back, Warren, is I would say, okay, $9 million is nowhere close to reality here. What we can do is we can buy the property for $6 million, provided he's open to seller financing, and it will be a 10% down payment and we'll pay you about $21,500 per month. Is that something that's even within the realm of possibility? Is the seller flexible, or are they out? And whatever they say, they're going to say no. Like, that doesn't work for us. Why? Okay, no, okay, I understand. Why? Well, help me understand why not. Why doesn't that work? Is it because they have debt on the property and they need $5 million to pay it off? Like, what's going on? And if they need $5 million to pay it off, you probably can't make it work.
Okay.
Yeah, like
It's a good question. Do they have equity in that? Is a good question if they have equity in the property.
right. And so if they own it free and clear, then there's a lot of options. But if they have debt on the property, okay, well, tell me about the debt. What's the balance? The balance is $5 million and the payment's $25,000 a month. Okay, well, they're barely cash flowing and they owe $5 million. And I like the best case scenario is that you find someone who just pays you $5 million and you're done. And we're probably not that person.
Right.
If someone
Hey, Warren.
shows up with $5 or $6 million cash, you should take it and run because
Okay.
nobody else will do this.
Right.
Warren, if you want, I can give you the numbers that I've got later on. Just send me a message through school.
Okay.
Correct.
Will do. Thanks, Oliver.
Sure, no problem.
If they have equity, if they have enough equity to cover the closing cost and down payment,
Yep.
and then then they're willing to finance, owner finance.
Yeah. So let's say they owe $2.5 million. Okay, well, let's maybe figure out how we can do that. You do a $2.5 million and then a owner carry. And so that's kind of what this scenario is for right here. And it gets a little more complicated. So you have a first position loan that you go and qualify for a bank loan of, say, 2.5, let's say. I like his offer number of 6 million. Let's try and make his numbers work. 2.5. And so what's left after a 10% down payment is the difference between so about $2 million. So you'd carry about a $2 million payment behind it. And you would have to figure out how much, like, you need to put in here what the payment amount. Okay, I did this wrong. The mortgage amount is 2.5. And the mortgage payment, let's say, is 12,500, and they have 4 years left on it, and let's say it's at 5%, that helps you figure out how much you have left. So your wraparound mortgage amount is 2.9. 10% down is 600. The 2.5 and the remaining balance is 2.9. And so let's see if we can make that work with our numbers. So like 10,000. And you go down here and it is pretty close. So we get really close to it. We get our 15%. The balloon is a little higher than I want, but that's at least something that you could try and see if they're open to. And that's how you would calculate a first position loan that you go get it from a bank, and then whatever's left over, how much would they take in second position? Is that making sense?
Yes.
And so it's really helpful to just kind of play with the numbers, play with the calculator. I do this all day, every day, so I pop around the calculator pretty fast. So take this to the side and take an example like you have here, Warren, and just play with the numbers. See how this calculator works, and then you can figure out. And the ones in yellow are the things that you would change, and the things that are not in yellow are things that are being calculated for you.
I do want to ask another question. You said when we're looking at these properties, the thing that you're most concerned about is the vacancy rate?
I want to know the vacancy rate for sure.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, because I'm assuming 5% here. If it's 12%, then the calculation changes a lot because there's less income coming in because there's vacancies.
Okay.
Yeah, so I want to know like what do they rent for? What's the total income coming in? And then what's the vacancy rate? And if it's like a fully operational multifamily, a good operating multifamily is between 5 and 10% vacancy because there's always somebody turning over and there's always a unit vacant. Good question. Anybody else got anything? What you can do, I'll stop the share here. You guys, if you have a question, you can just raise your hand in Zoom. If you have any questions queued up, I can just get to you in the order that you raise your hand. We have about 30 minutes left. Go ahead, Barry.
Warren's question was a perfect example of what we want to cover. So
yeah, we do that kind of. I mean, that's like what we do every day, right? Yeah. Go ahead, Barry.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm going to come off of mute and openly admit that I'm still struggling with the calculator, but I'm trying. But I am making, oh, excuse me 1 second. Let me just, damn it. It's my garage door guy. Hey, I'll open the door and I'll meet you down in a minute. But anyway, I've been talking to brokers and I've been gathering information and real quickly, I will just, I found a property. It's 27 units. They want 3.25. They are open to owner financing and they have an assumable loan with an interest rate of 3.48.
Okay, perfect.
And the broker did not have the balance of the loan yet.
Okay.
And I told him I would like Warren. I said I'll call you back next week because
yeah.
I wanted to at least find out, if I'm in the right ballpark, or I'm talking to these people intelligently.
Yeah. So you said it was 27 units?
27 units.
You know the rents?
No, he didn't have those either. And
Okay.
my problem is, honestly, I'm not comfortable with the calculator, so I'm not sure if I can trust my own numbers.
Well, don't worry about that. Just capture the data.
Okay.
Like it's hard for us to help if we don't have the data. So you're waiting on information. So we want number of units.
Okay.
What are the rents? If they can get that from the the T12 or the rent roll. What's the vacancy rate? And like, does it need repairs? Like, what kind of condition is the property in? And that will give us enough to, and if they have a loan, like you're talking about, they're open to financing, amazing. They have a mortgage, like we need details about that mortgage if we can wrap it or assume it.
Okay. I will bring that back next week, but I sit on the call every week and I don't say much because I'm trying to absorb as much as I can, especially
Sure.
when you get
Well, the
calculated.
best thing to do is to get a real life example, get all the facts square. Like that's like before even figuring out the numbers, just make sure you, because it's really hard to run the math when you're dealing with half truths from the
Okay.
seller, right? And that's why we were talking about earlier today when these mom and pops give you this like screenshot of the chalkboard or the rolled up piece of paper,
Uh-huh.
you're just like, how am I supposed to make a realistic offer if you don't even know how much money you're bringing in? I mean, it's really hard, right? And so I'm going to start making assumptions, and they're going to be in my favor. So the more organized they are, the better I can give, better offer I can give them.
Okay. So when I call him back, I can, get him to give me some more information.
Right.
Then I can
And
dig into the
a
numbers.
big part of this business is just getting the information from the people. Like they are not, people are just not organized.
Okay.
And,
But
and and they tell you these long drawn out stories, and it's like, dude, it's like I'm trying to buy the damn property. Like, give me some information.
But I am really, really, I've only been in this group probably a little bit more than about a month now, but I'm getting more and more comfortable with, I'm really starting to talk to the brokers and I at least sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
But
you're adding to your skill set, which is
yes,
amazing.
so I'm flying, I'm not blind, but I'm still in the clouds, but I'm going to keep trying.
I like it. Cool. All right. Anybody else got a question?
Guys,
Keep it up,
Yes,
Barry.
Iredam, is that you?
yes, Paul. I have a lead that I wanted to go over.
Fire away.
It's it's on the outskirts of Charlotte, and it's a 13 unit apartments. He's asking for cash only buyer, and he's asking for 2.5. And so
0.5 million.
I did a bank test.
Mm-hmm.
It gives the NOI is 130, 242.
Okay, so we're not too far off here.
And
Okay.
so I did the bank test with 30% down,
Yep.
and the numbers didn't come out right until I did a 10% down, and then I did a 2.2.
Well, but he wants cash,
But
though, right?
right. So I did 2.2 for the purchasing price instead of
Got it.
2.5, and it brung my NOI to 15 15%.
Okay, so let's for everybody, this is a great example. I- this is a kind of a deal that you're going to see on a daily basis, if not dozens of times a day, if you try hard enough. Like this is what you come across. So the facts are 13 unit multifamily property. The NOI is about 132 grand per year. So that it works out to be about 1625 per property per month. And we don't know the vacancy rate, so I'm just assuming 5%. And then,
It's 90% occupied.
okay, so perfect. And so that would actually make this a little bit higher, 1,700.
So 139,000 or 139,425 NOI, right? If you do
Well,
0%.
they're saying their NOI is 132, right?
130, 242. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 130.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so if you're within like a percent here, that's fine. Like 130, 132, 131. I mean, that's not what's making or breaking the deal. What's making or breaking the deal is this crazy sales price. And so we're taking the NOI that they gave us, and so we're backing into that it's about 17. So do you have the rents?
Yes.
How much are the rents per unit?
The monthly. You want the monthly or the
Monthly
year?
per unit. Yep.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
And while he's finding this, whether this is 1600 or 1800, it's going to come out the
It's
same.
14.6 a monthly and yes, 14.6 monthly, annually 175.
Okay. Whoops. 1460. So I think they're grossly overstating the NOI. And here's why I say that. I'm going to do my calculator here so you guys can see it. Okay. Watch this. They're saying it's 1460 per month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Times 13 times 12 for to get an annual number. Total revenue is 227. So I'm just going to write that down right here. 227. And they're saying that the NOI was 130, 130.
132.
So that, oops, yep, divided by that is an expense ratio. I did it backwards. 1 minus.
So the total net income was 121.
The net income is 121. Yeah. So it's this minus this is, I'm getting 97. So something's not adding up. So what's the total income?
165,339.
165,339. 132. Something's not adding up. I'm showing net income of 33,000. So it's tough to do these calculations when when the numbers aren't like shaken up here. So
You said the total. So the total income, Paul, is 165,339.
Yep. And so
total expenses of 44,188, which brings the total net income to 121,151.
121. So when you were saying NOI before, you were saying 132.
Hey, that's what they had on Prexy.
Got it. So can you say the expenses again?
The expenses are 44,188 total expenses.
Gotcha. And so here we go. So now we're saying the same thing now, right? Total expense or total revenue, total expenses 121. So this ratio is way off. There's no way you can run a property at this expense ratio. So what I'm going to do is I'm imposing a higher expense ratio than what they're claiming. I'm saying that it's 45%, right? And so let's see, let's do 165. So 165 divided by 13 divided by 12. So the actual rent per unit on average with this expense, with this vacancy rate is 1,057.
Wow.
So the actual NOI is, in my opinion, based on real expenses that actually takes is more like 90, whereas they're saying it's 121. This is super common, guys. I mean, I cannot express to you how common this is. If you look at the actual expenses that they're talking about, their expenses are going to show you that it's taxes and insurance and maybe a little bit of repairs, but they completely ignore all other operating costs. Back to my original point. And so this ratio is 44,188 divided by 165,339. They're claiming an expense ratio of 26.7%. And they're like I think I told you before, um, someone else said their expense ratio was 24%. This is another example of a listing where they say, oh, it cost us 26% of rents in order to run this place. No, they're wrong. They're lying. It's not possible.
Hmm.
It's not possible because they understandably, for them to get their price, they want to have their NOI. And so they're going to overstate expenses, or I'm sorry, overstate rent or understate expenses.
Okay. Okay.
And so, and that's where it gets tricky because you end up arguing over what their expenses are. And so I don't really go into it too much with them. I just like, well, based on the numbers you provided me, the what I can buy this for is nowhere close to 2.5. That you're trying to sell it at a 3 or 4 cap. That's not going to happen, especially in North Carolina. And so you will only take cash. And so the only way I can buy this is at a deep discount. And so the way I determine that deep discount is I go over here and I just run this number until I get this. And it's like like maybe 900,000. Like I'd probably offer them 900,000. They want 2.5. They're not going to do that. Like they're not going to make that big of a discount. And this is 95% of all listings on Crexy or LoopNet or anywhere else fall into this category. And so your mission is to cut through the noise and say, you only want to cash out. I can only buy at a deep discount. Is the seller flexible? And the sellers says we're not flexible. We might be able, and you give them a whisper offer. You say, you know what? I couldn't even get to $1 million on this, like not based on the numbers that you provided me. And they're like, there's no way the seller's going to take anything close to that. Okay, no problem. It's not for everybody. Do you have anybody else that might be open to doing a deal? This not going to work with this seller. No hard feelings. Just not going to work. Next. And you need to have that conversation 10 to 15 times a week. And that's the reality of this business that I want to all, I'm talking to Ira here, but I'm talking to everybody, right? This is the business we're in, is people are looking to sell at stupid prices that make 0 sense.
And that was another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, Paul. I think I'm at the point in with my investing career is that the negotiating is the executing the offers
is where you're learning to get better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first you have to be able to cut through recognize what they're telling you is not helpful information or is incomplete information, and then push back and say, I'm showing that these expenses that you sent me, that's an expense ratio of 20%. We buy properties all over the country, and we know good, and me and my partners have operated properties all across the country, and including North Carolina, and you can't do that. We know better. And so I'm going to make, it's like you're not even factoring in reserve, you're not factoring in property management, like you're just missing some expenses that I know I will have to incur. So I'm going to bake in a more accurate expense ratio. And based on that, the best I can do is $900, $1 million. And they're like the guy wants 2.5. You're like, not for everybody. Right. And so, and they're like, and that's how you say, and you don't want to argue with the broker. You say, hey, the guy wants a premium. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a premium buyer. So do you have somebody else who is flexible, who would like to get a deal done so you can get a commission, your commission paid?
All right. Gotcha.
Hey, Paul, got a question for you.
Fire away.
If you have a situation like this and you might know that there's CapEx involved, do you want to leave that till due diligence and just kind of have a higher offer price and then work it in afterwards, or how do you?
Good question. So the question is, when do you bake in CapEx? So I really want to bake in CapEx on the front end, but right now with the example that Iredan's brought to us, I could tell very quickly that this was nowhere close to being an offer. I mean, it wasn't even like we're less than 50% of what he wants. This is not a deal that I'm going to dig into at all, right? And so I don't even bother with trying to figure out the CapEx because I don't want to bother with this deal because it's not a deal.
Gotcha.
Right. So, but let's say the person was more reasonable, or let's say that the rents turns out that we were mistaken, and the rents were closer to actually being 15% and 5%, and so the NOI was actually 122, right? Which is what they were saying. Something was really close to what they were saying, and we run the numbers, and this reflects reality more, and so we can afford to pay more. Maybe not that
Okay.
high, but and so let's say we could pay 1.2. Yeah, 1.2. But there's repair issues. And let's say they want 1.5 and we can pay 1.2. So at least we're in the ballpark. Like we're within 20%, right? Versus like half off. Okay, well, what kind of condition is this property in? I'm prepared to make an offer, but I don't know. My experience, every time I buy a property, I have to do some repairs. What kind of condition is the property in? Oh, it's in great shape. So when was the last time the roof was repaired? I'm not really sure. Well, I'm going to assume if you don't know that it was at least 20 years ago. So I'll be replacing the roof within the next 5 years. So I'm gonna bake that in unless you know better. Right. Okay. When was the last time all the HVAC units were replaced? At least 5, 10 years ago. Or they don't know. Okay, well, if there was 5, 10 years ago, one or two of those is going to pop. I'm going to have to do some maintenance on those pretty soon. I may not replace them all, but I'm going to definitely do some maintenance on those. There's going to be capacitors go out, something, right? Stuff happens with these things. They wear out. Okay, so what about the properties? When was the last time that they were, had a refresh on the interior? Well, when someone leaves, they fix it up enough to make it rentable, but they haven't like refurbished it. So they have like original Formica counters, or they have the carpet hasn't been replaced in a couple turns. Okay, the flooring is rough. It needs to be repainted every time, right? So I'm going to factor those expenses in as well. And so I'm trying to figure out if I'm assuming $2,500 per unit or $10,000 per unit based on the condition of the property. And let's say the roof is 20 years old and the parking lot hasn't been resurfaced in 10 years. All the HVACs are 10 years old and they haven't done any updates, but they're livable. Okay, that's probably 5 or 10 grand per unit that you're gonna have to bake into a 13-unit apartment complex. So that adds up, so that's 130 grand potentially. So I may add, $100,000 repair budget on there. And so suddenly now my number changes. And so really I can only afford to pay 1.1 for this property because I know I'm going to put in another 100 grand of cash that I don't have unless I go and raise it.
So yeah, the numbers I've got when I add in 100,000 for CapEx, for the cash offer, it's going to be 749. Well, might as well just say 750.
Yep.
And then for the 10% down, 2.5%, it's 1.3 million. And then for 0% interest, 1.676.
And guys, what he's referring to is what we refer to as the Oliver. So Oliver has made his own version of this spreadsheet for his own uses. If you guys want that, it is posted in the group, or you can reach out to him and say, hey, can I get a copy of the Oliver?
Use at your own risk.
Yeah, use at your own risk. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? We got about 10 minutes left before I got to bounce.
Good questions today. Very good question.
Yeah, well, actual deals. Does anybody have a deal where they actually have the numbers lined up?
Hey guys, Jeanette here.
Hey.
Hi. I don't know if I want to go through the numbers. We certainly can, but I did submit an LOI with, the three options. Was underwriting overnight. What came up was the broker came back at the last minute and asked for proof of funds. And so my response was, hey, I understand, but generally we only provide proof of funds after the verbal acceptance of an offer. But what proof of funds would you have me send? I mean, I said,
Yep.
I said, listen, I mean, I was pretty forthright with it because it's like, I felt like next at that point.
Yep.
For the cash offer, we need an executed contract to submit to our lender. This is what I wrote out, and then I talked.
Totally.
A pre-approval would be more accurate request. I mean, I was pretty annoyed. And it would have been nice to have communicated that, last week. And for the assumable loan, the POF is dependent on the final amount of the down payment. And I did request details on the amortization schedule, and I didn't, and those were all vague, so I'm not really sure who the lender is, et cetera. And for the owner finance, until we agree on the percent and the total finance, we really don't know what the down payment will be.
Yep.
And I didn't say this, but this is what I wrote. We are really not required to show you a bank statement that has $1 more in it than the down payment will be. So I was a little salty in my response, but I didn't say it that way. But those were my talking points, because I was really taken aback that she sent that back to me, because we'd had lots of good conversations. So my question to you and to everyone here is, what is the best response? And how did we mitigate that? And was that a decent?
I really like yours.
Okay.
Yeah. I really like saying, we can provide proof of funds, no problem. We're not there yet. We don't even agree on what the terms are.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like,
You
we
wouldn't
buy
even present it.
properties. We buy properties all over the country. This is not a problem. We have access to practically unlimited funds, but our investors don't just go around slinging screenshots of their bank statements around just for anybody, anytime. And that's just like, we're making several offers every day, and we're not providing proof of funds with every single offer. That would be we would wear out our investors by doing so. And so when we have an actual deal, we'll be happy to provide proof of funds along with our earnest money deposit. But we're not even close to that yet. When we get there, we'll get there.
Yep. I was just taken aback she wouldn't even present it without it. So I thought, okay, that's what happens when you deal with a
Yeah, and I was like,
28-year-old broker in Miami.
yeah, I was like, I would push back on. I mean, there are a lot of brokers that say that, and that's where they've been trained, and I kind of get it, and I kind of don't, but because there are a lot of low-key-loos that waste people's time. And it's like, have you heard? But based on the questions I'm asking, and then based on the conversation you have, do I sound like a newbie? Do I sound like I have no idea what I'm talking about? You don't even have enough information to give to me for me to even make a viable offer.
Right. And I did indicate that, listen, I don't just underwrite. I don't spend a few hours underwriting on a Sunday. It's exactly what I said. I said, I'm as serious as you are. And I said, I want to make this work, but I'm just taken aback that you won't even.
Yeah. We don't even know if we're in the same ballpark, and you want me to pull my pants down. It's like, no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I like I said, I was salty in my email, but I didn't send it. And then I used that as talking points because
yeah.
But I felt that I was in a position to say, hey, you need to prove yourself to me. I don't even know if this is a deal.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not even sure if I want to buy this property.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the way and again, I try not to be too salty with it. I try not to be confrontational, because I want them to be somebody that I work with, because we could do multiple deals together. And so, like I say, I get it why you want it, but be very clear. I'm not going to provide something from Jeanette's bank account. Like, we have investors that are coming in with us on this, and when we know what the deal is, the investors will provide the proof of funds. But we don't even know which investor is going to invest in it yet, because we don't know what deal we're talking about yet.
Yeah. No, my tone was nice. Like I said, my email to myself was right afterwards, so I could put all my thoughts on paper. But okay, you liked my response, because it is all.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you'll get that a fair amount. And a lot of the proof of funds stuff comes from a couple of places. One is it's just a broker. It's the way they've been trained. Two is they're testing you to see if you have your wits about you.
Mm-hmm.
If you come across as newbie level and not know what you're saying, then they'll put that obstacle in your way just to see if you're serious. And then the third one comes from legitimately being burned by people tying properties up with no actual means to buy the property. So there is a place for it to a certain extent. But like, these are pretty big transactions. Most people just don't have 1.5 or $7 million liquid cash sitting in a bank account just waiting for their deal to show up. That's not the way it works.
And I just don't understand why anyone would be underwriting something that they had no intention of moving forward with. So that's my.
Oh, well, a lot of people do that.
Well, that's not me. But anyway, it was a great
Yeah.
experience, and I can underwrite it with my right hand behind my back now. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you.
You bet. You probably got time for one more question before we wrap up today. Or have we just solved all the problems? You know exactly what to do now.
We solved world peace.
Hey, Oliver, I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say that we were talking about something the other day. I said I was going to ask Paul. You probably don't remember either. Had to do with underwriting. It had to do, I think Paul had to do with underwriting a deal and what do you call it? I can't even think right now. Inspection. So basically, if you underwrite a deal, you pretty much have an idea of what you think it's worth versus I think it was an inspection, having an inspection or appraisal, excuse me, that's what it was.
That's right.
So, how does that bake in as far as okay, you underwrite a deal, you think it's worth so much, but then they have an appraisal. How do they tie in, I guess?
Okay, so let's talk about appraisals. So in the commercial world, you can get appraisals just like you can in the residential space from a they're more expensive by
Mhm.
quite a bit,
Mhm.
and you know they may be $600 to $1,000 in the
Mhm.
single family world. They can be anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 in the commercial world. And so you don't want to be running around doing appraisals very often because I find appraisals do not help me personally. It is some random person's opinion based on all the things that they think they know to figure out their opinion about a subjective matter, right?
Okay.
Like value is subjective. It's just really hard to. I mean, it's almost an impossible job. But they try and make it as scientific as they can, but it's still just an opinion. What is it worth? What somebody's willing to pay for it. Okay.
Okay.
And so all these bank crashes and all these real estate crashes, all the way through had appraisals being done the whole time. They do not protect anybody from making bad decisions, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because if you just look at what's being happening around you, you're going to say, well, you know, that's what the value is. Well, then something changes externally and prices drop by 30%. Then were those appraisals wrong before? Were they right? They're flawed.
Yeah, got it.
So that's
Makes
my
sense.
philosophy on appraisals, but banks still require them. So if
Yeah.
you're going to get institutional bank a loan, almost every time they're going to require to get a bank to get an appraisal because it's protecting their interests, and you got to pay for it. It's the privilege of getting institutional debt.
Okay. Okay.
And so
Makes sense.
when you get a property under contract and you're going to qualify for a bank loan, whoever's qualifying for the bank loan will be required by the bank to pay for an appraisal. And so the bank will pick a third party appraisal that you don't have any influence over, ideally, and then they'll come in and appraise it. And it's weird. It's like, well, how much are you looking for this property? How much is it under contract for? $1.5 million. Okay, and then they try and convince themselves that it's worth 1.5 or not.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes they say, yeah, it's worth 2.2. Sometimes they'll say, oh, sorry, it's only worth 1.1. The deal's dead. Yeah, like
Okay.
go back and revisit.
Okay.
But if you're
And you,
going owner financing, there's no bank involved. You don't have to do an appraisal.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why we were talking about that and I forgot, but yeah. And Paul, you're in rare form today. It's just
Am I
blank,
feisty?
blank.
Am I feisty today?
Yes, you're feisty today.
Awesome. You're
It's all
awesome.
good.
I'm fired up. I've had a busy week. I've done a lot of real estate this week, and when I do a lot of real estate, like actually myself, I feel what you guys are going through because I'm doing it myself, and I just don't have time for it. It's like people waste my time. People are so quick to waste your time, and that's the whole proof of funds thing is they're trying to protect themselves from their time being wasted. So I respect that, and a lot of people will ask you just like, I mean, they're just like it's like you are not making this transaction possible, and it's frustrating. And so it's like if people would just align their interest and like get on board, then we will get a lot more real estate done.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. I agree.
So last
All right.
question for me to you guys, because Oliver reminded me in the chat here. He made one offer this week. How many offers did you make this week? Put it in the chat. Like you have to commit. Like how many written offers did you submit this week?
I slacked off this week, so yeah. I'll get it next week.
Oh, it's
And
disabled.
so Aaron said 1, love it.
Hmm.
And David told me and reminded me to tell you all that when you're using the owner financing calculator, make sure and pay attention to what tab you're on. So the bank test versus the owner financing versus the wraparound mortgage.
It says my chat is disabled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine too, but it,
I don't know. It's
unfortunately,
like I don't know why that happens.
Mine does it too.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
people can chat and some people can't. I don't know. I think maybe you're trying
Oliver,
to chat to the. I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening. Anyway,
Oliver kicked this out.
Create a new chat up there at the top of it, and then you can do it.
yeah, like I think they've made it harder to chat in Zoom.
I
It
just
basically is-
replied. I just replied to Oliver. So
Yeah. But if you
Yeah.
go
So
to the-
Oliver says 1. Aaron says 0.
Annette says 2.
Brett says 4. Iordan 0. Aaron. Warren said 6. Whoa, good job, Warren.
Very good.
Mario said 1. Let's see what Aaron said 1. David, it's just he didn't answer. He gave me suggestions. Great. Any last? Or David, you have your hand raised. You have a comment or a question?
Oh, I was mentioning the chat thing, but I just,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
All right. Any last words before we adjourn today?
Good chat.
Yeah.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Thank
Go
you. It
make
was a
some
good
offers.
chat.
you.
Go make some offers.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you,
weekend.
guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Paul.
Paul.
Bye.
Thank you. Everybody
Thank
enjoy your
you.
weekend.
This was amazing.
Good.
Thank you,
Glad you enjoyed it.
everyone.
See ya.
Have a great weekend.
Likewise. Have a good weekend, everybody.